Today, guys, we're just going to run through our power rankings pretty quickly to sum up Mugello. It was obviously a difficult kind of day to watch motorsport and enjoy after the unfortunate news from Florence with Jason Dupasquier succumbing to his injuries from the Saturday crash. Very sad news that came through just before the Moto2 race. You do sort of realise that at the end of the day, you're just watching sport, aren't you? There's bigger things. So what we're going to do today is just quickly recap. It's going to be a quick video today, guys. It's a very somber kind of weekend feel from a MotoGP sense. So we're just going to quickly run through a quick recap of the three classes and then quickly just run through our top 10 power. So it's going to be a top 11 this week as well, guys. A top 11 in the power rankings, and then that'll be it for today. So yeah, just a nice quick one this week. So yeah, let's get going. Let's start in MotoGP. The people I'm not going to mention when we get to the power rankings are probably your KTM guys. Really good weekends. Miguel especially. Binder was solid again. He has been all season. Miguel's been struggling a little bit more, but showed that pace. When the bike's right for him, he's as quick as anybody. He showed that today. Marquez lost his head a little bit. Was way too aggressive going into that. I think it was the first lap when he went down. It's a write-off season for him now. It's just about him getting laps done. It feels like for me, especially after today, he needs to stay on that bike and just get laps done. Bastianini, weird circumstance. Bastianini's a funny one because was rating him very highly from the first few rounds and he's really dropped off. He needs to sort his shit out a little bit. Frankie Morbidelli got unlucky again on the wrong place, wrong time. It was nice to see Valentino finish a top 10 at the end. We want to see him higher, but hey, we'll take it when we can get it. Alex Rins. Alex Rins. In Moto2, we're going to talk about the front two guys when we get into the power rankings, so don't worry about them. A bit unfortunate of a race for Joe Roberts. I think we can all agree these last lap track limits, demotion things. Tell me what you think. For me, that is a little bit ridiculous. But lost his podium over it. The Moto3 race was good. Foggia, Mazia, Gabi Rodrigo. Sasaki had a good ride in fourth. Darren Binder was good. That's pretty much it for them. Macia looks like he might have just kept a glint of a title hope alive. So good news for him. Hopefully that can become a bit of a fight. Otherwise, Pedro's just going to take off with it. So let's get into the power rankings. It's a top 11 in the power rankings this week. Riders dropping out. Maverick Vinales, he's dropped out of the top 10 now, or top 11 in this case. Dropped right out. Just boring the pants off me in races. His Saturday issue, it was funny. It was funny. Sam Lowes. We've dropped Sam Lowes out of the top 10 now. It's another crash. He was probably going to win this race, I think. But somehow he's found himself with how far back is he in the championship now? He's miles back. So let's get into the top 11 now. Let's get into the power rankings. At number 11, debuting in the power rankings for this season is Marco Bozeki. Fortunate how he got his podium. Another last lap track limit infringement thing. We don't like to see it, but look, at the end of the day, he's finished third, which means there's another podium for him. He's on a bit of a roll now. He's not on the pace of the lead, guys, which is a little bit disappointing. The other guys, there's a lot of riders being really disappointing this season, so that puts him in. At number 10, we've got Alicia Spargero. Yeah, Alicia, again, just he's up a place from last. Well, technically he stayed in a place, but good weekend for him. They had the best ever qualifying, and he showed a bit in the race. Couldn't keep up with the Ducati down the straight. Otherwise, I think he might have got Miller if there wasn't a 1.2 kilometre straight for him to have to get down. Cannot fault the guy at the moment. He's doing a great job. At number 9, I have put Joan Mir back into the power rankings. Really strong podium here today. I think he looked really good, actually. Not much else to say about him. It's that solid thing. Without his crash last week, he's looking still-ish in the title race. Obviously needed those points. He's dropped a bit away, but this is a good sign. It's a building block for him. Good race for him today. He did well. At number 8, Rael Ferdinandez. He looked the man to beat. He took pole position. He took off out at the front. It's remarkable he didn't win this race, especially after Lowes went down. It was his to lose from my perspective. I think he should have won the race. He looked by far the fastest guy without Lowes there. So the fact that he's let this slip is a little bit disappointing, but it's still a good result for him. It's a second place, and he's still this is going to be a coin toss, this title fight, him and Remy. It's an absolute coin toss. Who can be the most consistent? That's who's going to win the title. And if you can't win the race, at least be second. Just didn't get his run out of the slipstream quite right, but he's still looking the good. He's looking the good. This kid's quality. You can see it. At number 7, dropping a little bit from last week, is Jack Miller. He was nowhere this weekend. His quality lap was looking good. His fast lap was looking good in the first couple of sectors, I think, and then he lost a heap. He ended up a half a second down in a sector when he was on the pace for the first 2. So I don't know what happened there, but he was looking like he was going to have one of those weekends where you just don't show much in practice. You don't show much for the rest of the weekend, and then all of a sudden, quality, you're right up there, and then in the race, you've got the pace. He didn't really have that. He dropped back, but he just settled into his rhythm. He's like, I'm not going to panic. Fortunately for him, a couple of guys Rins went down in front of him and stuff like that, and he managed to just come 6th. And if you're going to have bad days, make them your bad days. 6th position's not bad. Not like when you had the 9th earlier in the season. This is much stronger than that. Bank your points, come back to fight another day. At number 6, dropping again this week with a somewhat disappointing result, to be honest, Pedro Acosta in Moto3. Finished 7th on the track, got demoted a position for, must have been track limits, I guess, probably, I don't know. Got demoted to 8th. So he's had 2 8th places in a row. I think a lot of Mugello in Moto3 is circumstance, who you end up behind coming into the last lap. I mean, he spent most of the race top 4, basically. And then what happens is you get slipstream back to 10th, and then you work your way back up, you slipstream back up to the lead, and the way the sequence worked out is as it got to the last lap, he was like 9th, and he couldn't make the ground back up on the last lap. I don't think it was a bad ride. I think he just got done in by some more experienced riders positioning themselves much better for the run into the last 2, 1 or 2 laps. So yeah, he has dropped down a little bit here. At number 5, up on his position last week is our boy Remy. He's ridden an impeccable race today because he looked like he was going to get dropped. Fernandez dropped him early. He didn't panic. He's like, this is my rhythm. This is what I'm doing. If you want to go at that pace, you do that. This is what I'm going to do because my pace comes later. Lowe's goes past him, starts to leave him behind. Doesn't panic. Now, like I said, I think Lowe's I don't think he would have caught Lowe's at the end like he caught Fernandez. I think Lowe's probably had the pace to win the race. But you just put yourself in the best position you can for yourself that weekend. He's probably thinking to himself, if Lowe's goes, he goes. But I know I'm going to catch Fernandez here. I'm saving my tyre, whatever. I'm saving the front tyre. I'm going to have the pace late. And he said that pre-race. He said, I'm not going to be strong in those first however many laps. Rael Ferdinandez is quicker than me over that distance. But his theory and his hope was that he was going to have the pace late, and he did have. Perfect final lap. Got out of that last corner nicely. I mean, Ramy's played a blinder. I mean, it could have gone the other way if the slipstream went Fernandez's way, fine. But you've ridden a perfect race, basically, for what pace you had that weekend. He was not as quick as Rael Ferdinandez all weekend. But he knew if he was going to beat him, it was going to be by doing this strategy. And he did it. Powerful last lap from Remy. I can't contain my excitement on him extending his championship lead, finally getting that race win. And all of a sudden, I think people are now looking at him. Fernandez was the sensation. Fernandez is the sensation, then what's Remy? Moving on from Remy, we go up to number 4. It's Pekko Banjo. He's dropped a place this week with his crash. Reluctant to drop him any more than that because I still think he's the main title threat. This is his first bad result, really. He's been so good and so consistent. Everybody gets one. This is Pekko's. We're not going to tank him down the rankings here. If it happens again, it happens again, but I don't think it will. Hanging on to a decent position in the rankings here. He's not completely out of the title race. Fabs would be hard to beat from here, but still the main challenger for me. Up to number 3, and they've just swapped positions. I've just swapped them this week. Johan Zarco's gone above Pekko. He rode a great race today. I mean, puts himself into second in the championship. Didn't get the podium, but I thought he rode a good race. He didn't panic. He didn't do Rins. He basically was like, look, if I don't have that pace, I don't have that pace. That's fine. But he settled in. It looked like at one point he was just going to sink through the field. He really dropped off on pace. He ended up back to 4th. And it was like, I thought he was going to end up behind Miller and Spargero, to be honest. But he didn't. He settled in, didn't panic, rode through to 4th and just took his points. Come back next week. Up to number 2 then is Fabio Quatero. Unbelievable. This is the guy to beat. Any class, any rider, this is the guy to beat. He's looking sensational. It was shades of Lorenzo's Mugello time at Mugello, wins at Mugello there when he was winning them. And this was the risk with Ducati. Like, you can think it's a Ducati slam dunk, but if they can't keep up through the turns, then, they're not going to be able to pass him on the straight. Like, he's just gapping and gapping. I do think we were robbed. I think Pekko had the pace. I do think Pekko could have challenged him. But once Pekko went, that was it. Fabio was going to win. All he had to do was do his laps, do his time, just time trial himself into the end, save his tyre, make sure he got there safely, and he was done. It was a good, really good ride from him. And you might be wondering why he's only at number 2 and why we've gone for an 11 power rankings this week. It's because our number 1 in this week's power rankings is Jason Dupasquier. Our number 1 performance, the most powerful man at Mugello this weekend was Jason Dupasquier. He is our number 1 this week, and obviously it was a horrible situation, but the most powerful, bravest young man at Mugello this week was Jason Dupasquier. That's it, guys. That's our power rankings for the week. He's the number 1. I guess we'll finish it there. Thanks for watching through, guys. Tough weekend, very sombre, hard to enjoy, really. But hopefully we can come back next week. The show must go on, as they say. Big ups to all the riders for getting out there after hearing that news as well this week. We'll see you next week. We'll see you before then. Have a good one.